Europe's first great civilization ruled the Mediterranean for over 1,000 years. They built palaces with running water, created art that still stuns us today, controlled trade routes across the ancient world, then they vanished completely. For 3,000 years, nobody even knew they existed. How does the most advanced civilization of its time get erased so completely that it becomes nothing but a myth about a monster in a maze? That's the problem with the Minoans. And the answer, it's not what you think. Think about this. Right now, you know about Rome, you know about Greece, you know about Egypt, but before all of them, there was Crete, and on that island, the Minoans built something the world had never seen, a civilization that didn't just survive it, thrived. For over 1,000 years, they were the dominant force in the Mediterranean. Their ships carried goods across the ancient world. Their art influenced cultures from Egypt to Asia Minor. Their palaces were architectural marvels that wouldn't be matched for centuries, but they didn't build it with war. While everyone else was sharpening swords, the Minoans were painting flowers. They were a peaceful, artistic superpower. No massive walls, no armies carved into stone, just beauty, trade, innovation. They controlled the Mediterranean not through fear, but through brilliance. Their wealth came from commerce, from craftsmanship, from being the culture everyone else wanted to do business with. Their palaces weren't fortresses, they were open, welcoming, filled with light and colour, frescoes of dolphins, of women in flowing dresses, of nature bursting from every wall. Walk through the ruins of Knossos today and you can still see it. The way they designed their buildings to catch the breeze, the way light poured through windows and courtyards, the way every surface seemed to celebrate life itself. And the women? They weren't hidden away like in other ancient cultures. They were everywhere, in the art, in the religion, depicted with the same prominence as men, sometimes even more so. Priestesses leading sacred rituals, women in elaborate dress sitting front row at festivals. Some historians think they might have even run the show. That this was a society where the divine feminine wasn't just respected, it was central to everything they believed. Then one day, it all just stopped. The palaces fell silent, the art faded, the trade routes went cold, and for 3,000 years, the Minoans became a ghost story. Yet their myth survived. You've heard it. The labyrinth, the monster, half man, half bull, the Minotaur, King Minos demanding tributes of young men and women fed to the beast in the maze beneath his palace. Theseus, the hero, venturing into the darkness with nothing but a ball of string and a sword. That's what they became. A nightmare, a warning, a story parents told their kids to scare them at night. The memory of an entire civilization compressed into a tale of horror and human sacrifice. But here's what nobody asked for thousands of years. What if the monster was real? Not the creature, but the civilization. What if something so advanced, so powerful, so unlike anything the Greeks had seen before, seemed monstrous simply because it was misunderstood? Then in 1900, a man named Arthur Evans started digging. What he found changed everything. Imagine spending your whole life believing Rome was the beginning, that Greece invented civilization, that everything worth knowing about the ancient world started with Homer and the Trojan War. However, Evans pulled back the earth and found something older, grander, more advanced than anyone thought possible. Knossos, the crown jewel of the Minoans, a palace so massive, so maze-like, that it might have inspired the myth of the labyrinth itself. Evans walked through corridors that twisted and turned, rooms that connected to other rooms in patterns that seemed deliberately confusing, staircases that led up and down through multiple levels. It was a maze, not built to trap monsters, but to house a civilization at the height of its power. Multi-story buildings, running water, drainage systems, toilets that flushed. This was 1600 BC. The Minoans had plumbing before most of Europe figured out the wheel. They had storage systems for grain that could feed thousands, workshops where craftsmen created pottery so fine it's still displayed in museums today. administrative centers with clay tablets covered in a script no one can read, Linear A, a language that died with them. But Evans didn't just find ruins, he found color, life, frescoes so vibrant they looked like they were painted yesterday. Scenes of festivals, of athletes leaping over charging bulls in what might have been the world's first extreme sport, of priestesses leading rituals with their arms raised to the sky, snakes coiled around their wrists. The Minoans didn't worship gods of war, they worshipped nature, the earth, the sea, and at the center of it all, a goddess, not a god, a goddess. In a world dominated by male deities and kings, the Minoans might have been led by women, or at the very least, they saw the feminine divine as equal to, if not more powerful than the masculine. Their art shows women in positions of authority, conducting ceremonies, seated in places of honor. This wasn't just unusual for the Bronze Age, it was revolutionary. But then the question hits you. If they were this advanced, this powerful, this creative, what killed them? Yet the answer isn't what you'd expect. There's a villain in this story, but it's not a person, not an army, not even a rival empire. It's a volcano, Thera, modern-day Santorini. Around 1600 BC, it erupted with the force of 40,000 atomic bombs. To put that in perspective, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius that buried Pompeii, Thera was at least 4 times more powerful. The sky went black. Tsunamis taller than buildings slammed into Crete just 70 miles away. Ash choked the farmlands. The seas, once filled with Minoan ships carrying trade routes across the Mediterranean, became graveyards. Coastal towns were wiped out in minutes. The explosion was so massive, it's still studied today as one of the largest volcanic events in human history. Some scientists think it caused climate disruption across the entire region. Crop failures, famine, chaos, and the Minoans. They never recovered. It wasn't instant. They didn't disappear overnight, but the damage was done. The palaces were rebuilt, sure, but weaker, smaller. The art lost its color, its vibrancy, its joy. The trade routes dried up. Other civilizations, like the Mycenaeans from mainland Greece, smelled blood in the water. They moved in, took over, and slowly the Minoans faded. Their culture absorbed, diluted, forgotten. Within a few generations, they were gone. And here's the cruelest part. They didn't just lose their civilization, they lost their story. No one wrote about them. No one remembered their name. The palaces crumbled. The frescoes cracked and faded under centuries of sun and wind. The writing Linear A was never deciphered. To this day, we still can't read their words. We don't know what they called themselves. We don't know their myths, their songs, their history as they understood it. The Minoans became the only major civilization in history to be completely forgotten by the people who came after them. But the myth stayed. The labyrinth, the Minotaur, King Minos. For 3,000 years, the Minoans lived on as a monster story, a cautionary tale, a nightmare whispered in the dark corners of Greek legend. Yet when Evans finally uncovered the truth, the world saw something completely different. Not monsters, artists, innovators, builders, dreamers, a civilization that chose beauty over brutality, trade over war, nature over conquest. They didn't build their empire on the backs of slaves or the bodies of conquered peoples. They built it on ingenuity, on craft, on the simple human desire to create something beautiful and share it with the world. And maybe that's why their story matters. Because in a world obsessed with empires built on violence, the Minoans proved you could build one on something else. They showed that power doesn't always come from the sword, dominate the seas without enslaving nations. That art and commerce and beauty can be just as mighty as any army. They were Europe's first great civilization, and they did it without ever raising a sword.